Hello and welcome to News Center with me, Parikshit Luthra. The focus today is on India's EV ecosystem. The Heavy Industries Ministry has made it mandatory for electric vehicle makers to carry out certain tests from April 2023 in order to avail incentives under several schemes, such as the PLI for automobiles, PLI for auto components, the ACC PLI scheme, and the FAME incentive scheme as well. This comes after more than a dozen incidents of electric vehicles catching fire that have been reported since March. Starting April 2023, electric vehicles will have to undergo new mandatory tests on battery packs, cells, temperature cycling, altitude simulation, shock exposure, fire exposure. These are just some of the tests that the BMS, the battery pack and the cell has to be subjected to. To take this forward, I'm now joined by Arun Goyal, the Secretary for the Heavy Industries Ministry, someone who can really throw light and explain us why these tests are important from a safety point of view. Mr. Goyal, thank you very much for joining us. The PLI schemes and the FAME schemes already have a 50% localization criteria. Why has the ministry now introduced mandatory testing if one company has to avail incentives under PLI or FAME?
Parikshit, you see, domestic value addition condition, which was 50%, is entirely independent of the safety standards. Now, these standards are to ensure that the product being sold in the market is safe for the users, that is humans. From that perspective, all these tests have been brought in. As you were mentioning, they are, we have now come out with a very comprehensive testing mechanism at the cell level, at the battery management system level, as well as the battery pack level. Now, this is the target is that the products being sold in our country should be able to meet with the international standards. Now, it has a dual objective. One, human safety, and the Indian people, Indian consumers will be able to get the world-class products. And secondly, because of the Indian market size, the industry will be able to produce on a scale the products of international standards, which subsequently they will be able to export. Now, let's see if in India a low quality product is manufactured, then in the global market the manufacturers would not be able to export. Now, till now the auto industry has been dominated by internal combustion engine. The biggest disruption to auto industry is now coming in terms of technology. In the last 125 years of auto industry history, India has been a follower, all of us know. Now, when we are shifting from ICE to EV or the zero emission vehicles, we are looking forward that India should be one of the leaders. Now, like at the Red Fort, our Honorable Prime Minister gave a call for India to be a developed nation by 2047. Now, how do we become a developed nation? If the manufacturing goes up. In manufacturing, the auto industry plays the biggest role. So now our target is that India should become a manufacturing hub for the global EV manufacturing.
Okay. So what were some of the shortcomings in product quality and risk to human safety that you felt that needed addressing? We have seen at least 12 to 14 cases of EV fires in the last few months, and almost all these players were availing incentives under FAME and PLI.
You see, many of the standards have already been prescribed and implemented. First difference is, till now, our AIS does not go to cell level. Now, it is the cells which make the battery. So, to ensure safety at the fundamental level, we have to have standards at the cell level. So what we have done now, that for anybody to take advantage of Government of India schemes from April, will have to do the cell level tests. These are like the impact test, temperature cycling, shock test, vibration test, fire exposure, altitude simulation. Then at the battery pack level, already prescribed tests as per AIS include propagation and water exposure. Now, what we have added is the case stress, drop or free fall test, immersion test, crush test, or imbalance charging. Now, at the BMS level, we have come out with the tests which are partially being covered under AIS, but now we have changed the specifications to international standards, in respect of overcurrent protection, communication interface, cell voltage for each series check, current sensors check, cell temperature check, MOS temperature check, charge MOS check, discharge MOS check, power rail check, fuse current check, cell balance function check. So now the products being made in India shall be of the world-class standards. But this we are not doing overnight. As you yourself said, these tests shall be effective for subsidies beyond 1st April 2023. So we have come out with these norms after thorough discussion with the stakeholders, with the concerned ministries, and also with the technical institutes like Center for Automotive Energy Materials, Central Electrochemical Research Institute, National Chemical Laboratory, and the German organization GIZ. And to ensure that our testing centers have capability and infrastructure to conduct these tests, we have already sanctioned 41 crores to ARI Pune, and we are in the process of sanctioning 36 crores to ICAT Manesar and 74 crores to GRC Chennai within this month. So our target is most of the equipment should be up and running in these centers by end of March. So when the industry comes out with the products in April, they would be able to get their products checked from the centers. So we are trying to answer the whole thing in a very comprehensive way. We have brought the infrastructure before.
Okay, so that's an important point. You're saying that you have allocated almost 140 crores to ramp up testing capacities, bring them in line with international practices, also pointing out that some of the tests that you're mandating are over and above the AIS standards and those which are mandated by the Ministry of Road Transport as well. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, because you see, under the Central Motor Vehicle Act, those tests or standards are compulsory for any vehicle to be on the road. So that vehicle may be taking any grant or subsidy from government, may not be. In our case, we are giving incentives to the industry under FAME, under PLI for ACC and PLI for auto. The objectives of PLIs have been to make India global manufacturing hub in respect of that industry. So for that, it is essential that the products manufactured in India, which are going to get that scale of production, should have the global standards. Otherwise, they cannot be exported. So it is the overall objective of PLIs to make India a manufacturing hub and the human safety. So these are mandatory only for those vehicles which are taking advantage of PLI and FAME. Otherwise, other vehicles, the standards under the CMVI as notified by MORTH are applicable.
Okay. I would also like to ask you, the Ministry of Heavy Industries, since these incidents of fires took place, there have also been whistleblower complaints against several EV makers. We also believe that in some cases you have stopped rolling out FAME incentives. Could you give us a sense of how many companies have maybe flouted the FAME criteria, the PLI criteria? In how many cases would you have stopped the rollout of incentives?
Prakshit, wherever we got a complaint, we got it checked through our testing agencies, and wherever we found any substance in the complaint, we have taken appropriate steps like either discontinuing that model being eligible or withholding the amount which has been paid to that company till that complaint is fully verified. However, where there hasn't been any complaint or where the record is clean, we have given the subsidies due to people as on date. So as on date, what I mean to say, there's always a gap of correlation of our data with the Vahan portal of MORTH, which takes about 45 days. So if you minus 45 days from today, all the companies have been given their due subsidies where there hasn't been any complaint.
Right. Sir, if one looks at the FAME data, which is there on the website, on the government website, we can see that subsidies have been stopped to companies like Hero Electric, Okinawa. This has been in public domain as well. Are there more companies against whom similar action of stopping subsidies has been taken?
Yes, Prakshit.
How many, sir? If you can give us a sense of some of the companies.
No, it won't be fair for me to name people here.
Okay. I would also like to ask you, any action that you are looking to take against some of the companies which may have flouted the FAME criteria, the PLI criteria?
You see, wherever there has been any wrongdoing, we are taking ultimate action against that person or organization. Wherever it is clean, we are disbursing subsidies without any delay. However, for the future, so that these things do not recur, we have launched API for FAME as well as PLI, where through the ERP of the manufacturing concern, the respective data in respect of domestic value addition would be transmitted to our portal in a seamless and transparent manner, which will have no faults in it. So that's the system we have already introduced 2 months back. However, these complaints pertain to the period earlier to that.
Okay. And my final question, sir, there have been a lot of complaints about the range that many EV makers speak about or advertise about. Will you now shift the focus to testing for real-world range? Will that also be a criteria for availing incentives?
No, we are not imposing any conditions for availing incentives. However, the standards are the human safety. Now, those things, any product which is coming to the testing agency does its tests as per international norms and certifies whatever the company is saying is correct or incorrect. But what you are saying, now the industry, because the consumers obviously want the actual range rather than a theoretical range, so the industry is shifting towards that. That shift is happening. But we are not imposing anything. As ministry, we are not imposing.
Okay, but you're saying that you see the shift happening in the industry to real-world range. Thank you very much, Mr. Goyal, for explaining us the rationale of these new mandatory guidelines for the EV industry. These are safety guidelines which have now been brought into the PLI scheme and the FAME scheme as well. Thanks once again for explaining the rationale to our viewers. We are going to take a short break here on CNBC TV18. Don't go anywhere. Next up, we shift our focus to election exchange. We focus on the race in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. That would be on our radar. A special discussion coming up in just a bit. Welcome back. The dates for the much-awaited Gujarat Assembly election have been announced. The state will vote on the 1st and 5th of December. Results will be announced on the 8th, along with that of Himachal Pradesh. Gujarat is the BJP's strongest fort. They haven't lost power in the state since 1995. The Saffron Party would be banking on the immense popularity of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who also remains Gujarat's longest-serving chief minister to date. The BJP won 99 seats in the 2017 election, their first election in the state after Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister and had to shift to national politics. The Congress, too, improved its tally in 2017, but their recent performances in civic body polls and Hardik Patel joining the BJP would come as a setback. The Aam Aadmi Party also trying to gain a foothold in the state. We should also be discussing Himachal Pradesh. Voting is scheduled to take place on the 12th of November. The incumbent BJP grappling with infighting, with several sitting MLAs being denied tickets. The opposition Congress also has its share of issues. This is the first time in 40 years that they are fighting an assembly election in the state without the presence of Veerbhadra Singh, undoubtedly the tallest Congress leader from Himachal. Singh passed away last year. The state also has a 37-year-old tradition of voting out the incumbent government. Let's go across to Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist and political analyst, and we're also joined by PKD Nambiar. Thank you very much for joining us. Neerja Chaudhary, if I can begin with you, give us a sense of how things stand in Gujarat. It is being called a three-cornered contest. Can the AAP make inroads? Will the BJP be able to improve its tally since 2017? Where do you think things stand for the BJP, the AAP and Congress right now in the state?
Look, number one is the Prime Minister's state. The stakes are very high for the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, and they're putting all their might into winning it. And they will not only try and win it, they will improve their tally of last time, which had been reduced to double digit. Last time, if you remember, in 2017, the Congress put up a very good show. There was the Patidar agitation led by Hardik Patel, who's now gone to the BJP. And I think it is a triangular contest. The newbie Aam Aadmi Party is making its presence felt, making itself visible. And the Congress seems to have almost like given up. I know that Congress leaders have been quite agitated, that not enough attention has been given by the party to Gujarat, as was expected, and much more attention was given to the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which of course has its own importance, but they were agitated. Now they're trying to make amends, but a triangular contest will certainly be advantage BJP. There's no doubt about that. In the short run, the rise of Aam Aadmi Party helps the BJP. In the long run, AAP may pose a challenge to the BJP. But that is in the future. So Gujarat seems poised to go back to the BJP as things stand today.
Okay, PKD Nambiar, the Aam Aadmi Party has been campaigning. They've taken out rallies in at least 30 districts of Gujarat. Do you think they will be able to make some inroads in the state?
Well, if you really look at it, if you travel across Gujarat, which I have done in the recent past couple of days, I stayed in multiple places. I realized one thing, that the kind of importance what Aam Aadmi Party and Kejriwal has been given by the national media is not the case in the regional media or in the level in the Gujarat. Yes, it is true that there is a gap of a strong opposition in Gujarat. For BJP, it is like the mecca of their political, in a way, like a hardcore destination for the BJP. So there, the Congress, as Nirjaji said, that coming down day by day, not giving that kind of an importance, both as a political party, also in the electioneering. Of course, they are trying to fill some kind or take some kind of an advantage of that, and Arvind Kejriwal is trying its level best to do that. But the impact of that you will only be able to see in some of the major cities. See, politics do not happen only on the media buzz. Politics also requires cadre, who is at the last mile at the booth, who is going to cover how many booth you have your people at present. Or else you need to have some kind of anti-incumbency, major anti-incumbency, something that sort is required. On the contrary, in Gujarat, there is almost a negligible anti-incumbency. Even if you really look at it from the last almost 8 years, there are 3 chief ministers have changed in Gujarat, but there is no problem both in the party or amongst the people. A little bit of fatigue, which generally comes almost if a political party is ruling for 20-25 years, a fatigue is supposed to happen. But that has also been taken care by BJP very, very smartly, like a corporate. So changing the ministers, changing the MLAs, not bringing some new faces time to time. I think it's very, very advantageous BJP. There may be a dent in the opposition vote, which will Aam Aadmi and Kejriwal's presence will make. That is going to be in the advantages of BJP, which is supposed to, according to me, it will go up to 125 or so seats.
All right. Let's talk about Himachal Pradesh, Neerja Chaudhary. Jairam Thakur, will he be able to retain power? Will the BJP able to continue? This state has a history of flipping parties every 5 years.
Look, I was in Himachal 3 weeks ago. It is evenly poised, as far as ground level sentiment goes. A lot of people said, of course, there were the committed voters of the BJP who will stick by the BJP, but there were many people who said they wanted change and they would look to the Congress for it. Now, does the Congress have the wherewithal, the oomph, the killer instinct, the organization, the planning to encash that sentiment and show BJP the door this time? That remains a million-dollar question. Priyanka Vadra Gandhi has been campaigning now. They perked up the party. So let's see what happens. She's intensively campaigning in Himachal Pradesh. In fact, I heard a very weird story, and this is coming from the Congress circles when I was in Himachal, to say that it seemed to people whether there was some kind of a tacit understanding between Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress, because you could not see the Aam Aadmi Party in Himachal as was expected at one time, and you hardly saw the Congress in Gujarat. So, I mean, it seems a far-fetched thing, but from the way the campaigns were being run. So I would say, in answer to your question, the Congress has a good chance, a fighting chance. Much depends on how it mounts its campaign. And of course, remember, the BJP is driven by factionalism.
Yeah.
Driven by factionalism, apart from anti-incumbency.
Important points there. PKD Nambiar, how do you think the race will play out in Himachal Pradesh? The key issues that could decide the fate of this election?
Well, one thing I will tell you that I agree with Nirja ji that unlike the Gujarat, it is not an easy cakewalk for BJP in Himachal. While I always support the BJP's politics, but I am very clear that it is not that going to be as easy as going to be like in Gujarat. But having said that, the Congress, so in politics, it's always like this, that if how the opposition, when you are in opposition is the right time, you will be able to do politics the better. So unfortunately, in the last 5 years, Congress have not been able to create that kind of a cadre or that kind of strong leadership in Himachal. And we know that even Mrs. Singh is the one, Veerbhadra Singh's wife, she is the one who has been made a PCC chief and still relying on that particular family. On the other hand, that is true that there are a large number of sitting MLAs were asked to, were not given seat by the BJP. That is going to be on the ground for the people. All the anti-incumbency, whatever if they have little bit, can be taken away, because generally on the ground for an MLA in a legislative assembly elections, the MLAs are the real villains. So they are the hero or otherwise the villain. So the moment you take out those people, people do not have much of an issue with Modi or that the chief minister or for that matter to the party, but maybe with the MLAs. A large number of them asked to go or not been given ticket. Takes away that anti-incumbency pressure very less. But it's a very tough fight in the hill state. But it's just a matter of another 1 month. I think the result will come. But one thing I'll tell you, the Aam Aadmi Party has not been able to create any foothold in like Uttarakhand, because they have learned that how the hill state of Uttarakhand, how they have been done for them during the last election. The same, they now by now they know their own senior leaders have left Aam Aadmi Party and joined BJP, and they also had a large number of backlash for the first 3 months of their campaign begun. Okay. So now they have almost like withdrawn, and they don't have much of a presence there.
Okay, we've run out of time, but Nirja Chaudhary, PKD Nambiar, thank you very much for being with us on News Center, setting up the big election in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. But before we wrap, news coming in from Pakistan. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been injured after a man opened fire during his rally in Pakistan's Gujranwal. Imran Khan, who was ousted as Prime Minister earlier this year, has been leading a long march to protest against the Shahbaz Sharif government. The legendary cricketer and the chief of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has reportedly been taken to hospital. Other PTI leaders have been injured as well. Today was day 7 of Imran Khan's long march to Islamabad. He has called for fresh elections, terming the current Pakistani government illegitimate. Pakistani news media reports suggest multiple people have been injured, and Imran Khan has reportedly suffered a bullet injury. So let's wait for more details on that. No official confirmation coming in from PTI or those close to Imran Khan. Definitely some disturbing news there. Let's wait and see what comes out. Those are pictures of Imran Khan being taken into ambulance, and we are getting reports that he has suffered a bullet injury. Let's wait for more details as we leave you with those pictures. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center for now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.